A poor woman with a sick child managed to get a job as a cleaner in the house of a disabled millionaire. One day, while cleaning the shelves with photographs, she trembled upon seeing a photo of herself as a child. On a quiet afternoon, Anna was dedicating herself to the monthly spreadsheets. Each cell a small battle in her day-to-day as a commercial manager in an office in Guadalajara. The routine was abruptly interrupted by an unexpected call to the boss's office, a rare invitation signaling changes in the air. As soon as she entered, she noticed the unusual seriousness on her boss's face. The tension was palpable, a harbinger of a storm amid the usual calm. "Is something wrong?" Anna's question broke the silence with a mix of concern and anticipation. The boss, choosing his words carefully, began an explanation marked by a tone of farewell. "Anna, the company is going through a period of restructuring. Painfully, this forces us to reconsider our cost structure, including some changes to the team." The revelation fell like a guillotine, cold and relentless, outlining an uncertain future. "I understand how valuable you have been as a commercial manager, Anna. However, we've noticed a decline in your dedication recently." Before he could finish, Anna interrupted, indignation and despair coloring her voice with vibrant hues. "Is this because I said I could no longer do overtime? My work continues to be impeccable. My son is sick. There are times when he gets better, and I can dedicate more here. But in the last few weeks, I needed to be by his side, and that's not to mention that the overtime isn't even compensated financially." The boss, trying to maintain a neutral expression, responded, "We understand your situation, Anna, and we respect that. However, the company needs someone who can offer more, someone who knows how to separate the personal from the professional and still contribute beyond the expected. With the current cuts, we need people with more willingness. So that's it. My years of dedication are thrown away because of a few difficult weeks, for choosing my son over unpaid hours." Anna did not hide her dismay, her voice a mirror of the pain and conflict unfolding in her chest. "We all have our struggles, but I never let mine interfere with the quality of my work. Anna, maybe this really is the time for you to focus on your son. We know it's not an easy decision, but we believe it's the best path forward given the circumstances." The boss's final words offered no comfort. A goodbye not just to the job, but to a part of Anna's life she believed to be stable. The strength that had propelled Anna during the discussion began to fade, leaving her vulnerable, a leaf in the face of a gale. Her voice, once firm and resolute, now carried the weight of a desperate plea. "I need this job," she began, her voice choked with emotion. "My mother stopped working to take care of my son. The medications are very expensive, and with the current situation in the country, finding another job will be almost impossible." Her eyes, brimming with tears, vainly sought some sign of compassion in the face before her. "If you could just give me one more month, I promise to make up for it with more hours, and in that time look for something else." The boss, immune to the raw emotion Anna displayed, maintained his unshakable stance, a fortress against human vulnerability. "I'm sorry, Anna, but there really is nothing I can do. The decision has already been made. We've observed your performance for some time and concluded that you no longer fit here, especially at this moment." His words, spoken without a hint of empathy, were like blows, each further undermining the hope Anna was desperately trying to cling to. Anna, now overwhelmed by tears she fought to contain, tried one last time to appeal to some spark of humanity. "I can change. I've worked here for years. It's not fair to do this to me like this, without prior notice, without time to prepare." Anguish poured from her voice, each word a reflection of her struggle not just for survival, but for dignity. "How will I manage to buy my son's medications for the next month? This cold corporatism forgets it's dealing with human beings. I'm not just another number here." The boss, with a look that overflowed with indifference, responded coldly and impatiently, "I'm sorry, Anna. Your instability only proves our point. Maybe it's time to look for another kind of job or even psychological help to stabilize yourself." His words, intended as advice, sounded like an insult, a final disdain for Anna's delicate situation. Feeling offended and helpless, Anna recognized the futility of her attempts. With the dignity she had left, she stated between sobs, "I'll gather my things and leave. I'll find a way to take care of my son." Her heart was broken, not just by the loss of the job, but by the crumbling of faith she had in compassion and humanity within her workplace. Walking back to her desk, each step seemed to weigh a ton. Her colleagues, a mix of curiosity and poorly disguised compassion, watched in silence. That afternoon, as Anna packed her life into cardboard boxes, the office around her seemed a theatre of shattered dreams. She was not just leaving behind a job, but a part of herself, an identity built with years of dedication and struggle. Exiting the building, a path she had walked so many times with confident steps now marked the beginning of an uncertain journey. Anna crossed the threshold of her home, the weight of the world pressing her shoulders down. Esmeralda, her mother, picked up on the desperation in Anna's stride, a silent reading of a soul in agony. "Where's Miguel?" Anna's voice barely rose above a whisper, a stretched cord about to snap. "Miguel's already sleeping. He hasn't felt well all day." Esmeralda responded, her expression tinged with worry. The mention of Miguel's state was the spark that ignited the fuse, triggering Anna into convulsive sobbing, a storm that had been forming on the horizon since the moment of her dismissal. "They fired me, Mum. They used the most ridiculous excuse, as if having a sick child meant I wasn't giving my best." Anna poured out her anguish, the words flowing between sobs. "I'm lost. I never imagined losing my job now. How will I pay for Miguel's medications?" Esmeralda wrapped Anna in a tight hug, a safe harbor in the midst of the storm. "God will help us, daughter. He has never forsaken us, and he won't start now." Esmeralda's faith was unshakable, an anchor for Anna in a tumultuous sea. "I hope so, Mum. I'll do my part, you know. I'll do whatever it takes," Anna murmured, wiping away her tears, a sign of determination reborn in her words. "And I still believe that we'll find a definitive treatment for his rare immune disease." Hope, although fragile, began to weave its light at the end of the tunnel. "Yes, daughter, but I'm worried. Even with the medications, he's been having crises, becoming very weak." Esmeralda's voice carried the weight of sleepless nights, the constant battle against the immune disease plaguing Miguel. "I'll fight to find the best treatment for him, even if I have to work at anything. I won't leave him unaided." Anna's determination was a blazing flame, challenging the darkness. "And thank you, Mum, for taking care of Miguel while I work." The gratitude Anna felt for Esmeralda was a deep ocean, recognizing the silent sacrifice of a grandmother dedicated to the well-being of her grandson. The sun had not even risen when Anna prepared to start her new battle. With the determination of someone carrying the world on their shoulders, she set off in search of new opportunities, one step at a time towards the unknown. The employment center, her first stop, was a promise of new beginnings. Upon arrival, Anna was greeted by a cold room. The woman in charge of the vacancies, with a look that had judged hundreds of lives, took Anna's resume with veiled disdain, each movement a preview of the challenge to come. "Ah, I see you have experience as a sales manager. And why were you dismissed?" The question, although routine, carried the weight of a judgment. "Well, it's a bit complicated," Anna began, feeling the weight of each word. "The company I worked for years went through significant cuts. They started demanding more overtime, hours that honestly I couldn't commit to." She paused, the internal struggle evident in her expression. "I have a son. He has a chronic immune disease and needs me. My mother takes care of him most of the time, but there are moments when I need to be there. I couldn't just ignore that, even if the company expected me to do so." The firmness in her voice battled against the clear vulnerability of her situation, a desperate mother trying to navigate the turbulent waters of life while keeping her dignity intact. "I see. I understand, but let me tell you the truth, my dear. The corporate world needs people who are willing to give that extra energy." The woman's words, though coated in false empathy, cut like blades. "And you being in your 40s, which is not ideal since they want younger people, and having a sick child. Really, it's difficult to find a position that fits your profile." Anna felt the weight of those words like an anchor, dragging her further down. However, driven by desperation and the need to provide for her son, she insisted, "It can be any job. It doesn't have to be something corporate. I'm willing to do anything." Her voice was a mix of plea and determination, a mother fighting against adversity to ensure her son's livelihood. It was then that the woman's demeanor changed, a corner-of-the-mouth smile emerging as the harbinger of an unexpected solution. "Ah, then I think I have something that might work for you." The mention of a job with fixed hours, albeit in cleaning the house of a very wealthy family, was a ray of light at the end of the tunnel. "I don't know if you'd be interested in going for the interview." Anna hesitated for a moment, pride and reality in a silent battle within her. However, necessity spoke louder. "Yes," she said, her voice firm despite the tight heart. "I need a job in any way possible." The woman scheduled a time for the interview, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Anna's life, a journey towards the unknown in search of a secured future for Miguel. A few days later, the interview scheduled at that imposing house was a beacon of hope, a chance to provide for her family. Upon entering that incredible residence, Anna found herself at a crossroads between admiration and apprehension. Everything indicated that it was a wealth of generations established in that house. Ramona was waiting for her, her posture emanating authority and distance. The first look she gave Anna carried a cold judgment. "Ah, I thought you were younger. I need someone with energy for the job." Her voice distilled disdain, an invisible barrier erected with words. Anna, however, was not intimidated. "I consider myself young, as well as very willing and determined. I need this job for important personal reasons, so you can count on my total dedication. I will give my best." Her response, though polite, was a shield against contempt, an affirmation of her capability and desire to exceed expectations. Ramona, shifting her gaze with indifference, continued with the details of the vacancy. "Well, your luck is that I'm in need of someone to start immediately. The job involves cleaning the house, which belongs to my father. He doesn't want contact with anyone outside the family. He's a bit depressed." Her explanation about the father, reclusive and affected by a recent accident that left him in a wheelchair, was permeated with a coldness that bordered on disdain. "The house must remain immaculate. My father, though distant from the business now, was a magnate, owner of the largest car company in Mexico. The family's reputation is something we value immensely, so I expect attention to detail. There are works of art and vases that probably are worth more than your life." Ramona let out a superficial laugh, a clear attempt to intimidate Anna, highlighting the distance between their worlds. Anna quickly realized that although she had escaped the corporate environment, inflated egos and the need to assert superiority were universal. The arrogance with which Ramona spun her narrative had a clear purpose: to make her feel small. However, thinking about the urgency of her situation and the need to care for her son, Anna remained resilient. "I understand and accept all conditions. I will do my best," she stated, her voice firm, a bridge she was ready to cross in search of the security her son deserved. "Then you can start tomorrow. As long as you don't interfere with my father, we won't have problems," concluded Ramona, sealing the deal with an indifference that hid the complexities of her family under the guise of professionalism. The following day, Anna arrived at the Rodriguez mansion with the determination of a new beginning. The anxiety of doing a good job, mixed with the fear of not meeting Ramona's expectations, pulsed through her veins. After receiving the initial instructions from Ramona, who outlined the day's tasks with military precision, Anna dove into her work. Her determination to prove her worth drove her, every movement meticulous, every corner cleaned to perfection. As Anna maneuvered the cleaning cart through the courtyard, her eyes caught the image of Mr. Rodriguez, alone in his wheelchair, under the morning sun, immersed in sad melancholy. With hesitant steps, but guided by innate compassion, she approached. "Excuse me for disturbing, sir. My name is Anna. I'm the new housekeeper," she began, her soft voice attempting to cross the invisible barrier of loneliness that surrounded him. "I thought it would be proper to introduce myself. If you need anything at all, I'm at your service. I want you to know that I'm around." Mr. Rodriguez, surprised by the approach, but clearly touched by the consideration, responded with a kindness that contrasted with his sad appearance. "I appreciate the kindness, but I don't need anything," he said, his voice carrying a mix of gratitude and resignation. "And no, you're not bothering me." As Anna and Mr. Rodriguez exchanged courteous words, the sharp voice of Ramona burst into the air, causing both to turn towards her. "It seems we're off to a very bad start, aren't we, Anna?" The coldness in her tone cut deeper than the morning breeze. "Explain to me exactly how talking to my father is part of your responsibilities. Didn't I specify clearly enough in the interview that I don't want any employees bothering my father? Is there a lack of floor to clean in this house or what? Windows to wash? I don't understand the difficulty with people who say they need a job, that they need the money and can't follow basic instructions." As Mr. Rodriguez tried to intercede, arguing that Anna hadn't bothered him, Ramona silenced him with a coldness that bordered on cruelty. "Keep quiet, you, Silence. I'm in charge of everything now." The family dynamics, exposed in a few words, revealed a complexity and a very strong tension. Anna, feeling the impact of Ramona's words, lowered her head, a mix of respect and shock coloring her voice. "I apologize. It wasn't my intention to disrespect your rules. It won't happen again." Inside, however, a storm was forming, indignation boiling against the cold way Ramona treated her own father. In her mind, Anna debated with herself, thoughts surging like troubled tides. "This isn't right," she thought, though she kept silent. To treat someone like that, especially knowing that the gentleman is suffering and depressed, it can only make things worse for him. How can she be so insensitive? But the words remained locked away, her external expression a calm sea, and she moved on to do her work with her head down. A few weeks had passed since Anna began working at the Rodriguez house. During this time she had come to accept that Ramona did not treat her father or her employees well, a reality that weighed on her heart every day. However, no concern at work could compare to the terror she felt the day her phone rang, breaking the silence of routine. The voice of Esmeralda, her mother, choked with panic, pierced through the device. "Anna, it's Miguel. He's started to have a reaction and can't breathe properly. We're at the hospital, but it looks like they'll have to intubate him. I can't explain his condition properly to the doctors. You need to come now." Her mother's words struck Anna like lightning, leaving her paralyzed for a moment before the urgency of the situation propelled her into action. Tears flooded Anna's eyes as she ran through the house, seeking to inform Ramona of her desperate situation and the need to leave work early. In her heart, a fervent prayer formed, a silent plea for divine protection over Miguel. "Please, God, protect my son. Don't leave me alone. I can't imagine my life without him," she whispered, each word an echo of her tormented soul. Upon finding Ramona, Anna, with her face bathed in tears, tried to explain through sobs. "My son is in the hospital. He has a rare immune disease, and I need to go. Now he needs me. Is it okay if I leave now?" The hope of finding a speck of compassion in Ramona quickly faded in the face of the cold look she received in response. "It's amazing how the poor always have one dramatic story after another," Ramona replied, her words laden with disdain. "All this just to not work. Well, Anna, if you want to leave early, feel free, but know that it will be deducted from your salary." The coldness and lack of empathy in her voice cut deep. Anna, though devastated by her son's situation, felt even more diminished by the cruel words. However, the urgency of being by Miguel's side overcame any other feeling. "That's fine. It doesn't matter. I'll make everything up tomorrow," she said, more to herself than to Ramona, before rushing toward the hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital, Anna's heart beat erratically. Seeing Esmeralda, her mother, despair and relief collided within her. The hug between mother and daughter was a temporary refuge from the distressing reality. Esmeralda, with tearful eyes, encouraged Anna to seek the responsible doctor, her trembling voice revealing the fear consuming her heart. Esmeralda shared amid sobs the moments of terror that preceded their rush to the hospital. "He was feeling a bit sick. I thought it was just another virus, but then he started having difficulty breathing." The description of Miguel's condition made the seriousness of the situation clear. The vulnerability in her voice was a mirror of the dread Anna felt. With tears blurring her vision, Anna approached the doctor, the determination to clarify Miguel's condition strengthening her steps. Upon finding the doctor in charge of her son's treatment, she explained with as much detail as emotion allowed the rare immune disease afflicting Miguel. The doctor's diagnosis, though worrying, brought a glimpse of hope. The pneumonia, a result of Miguel's weakened immunity, was severe, but treatment had already begun. Probably due to the low immunity caused by this chronic disease he already had, he contracted pneumonia. Intubation was necessary due to the breathing difficulty, but let's remain optimistic with the antibiotics. As soon as they start to take effect, we hope to be able to remove the tube, the doctor explained, his voice professional but not devoid of empathy. Anna, hearing the doctor's words, felt a mix of gratitude and worry. "He is everything to me," she confessed to the doctor, tears now flowing freely. "I can't lose him, doctor." Her statement was a testament to a mother's unconditional love, a bond that not even the most terrible diseases could break. I understand your distress, but there's no need to despair. We intubated him as a precaution. We are still waiting for tests, but with the medication he'll be okay, the doctor explained, trying to calm Anna. The weeks that followed were a test of endurance for Anna. Miguel was discharged from the hospital, which brought immense relief, but his recovery at home was slow, marked by the aftermath of pneumonia. The situation at work offered no consolation. Ramona's threats of dismissal weighed on Anna, forcing her to stay until the last minute of her shift and be impeccable, even with her heart pleading for her to be by her son's side. On a day that seemed like so many others, while Anna was polishing the silent corridor in front of Ramona's room, she accidentally became immersed in a private conversation. Ramona's words filtered through the crack of the door, loaded with impatience and disdain for the family's car factory. "I can't wait to get rid of that factory. My father thinks it still has some relevance. I couldn't care less. I can't wait to sell it," Ramona said, her voice indifferent. Fernando, Ramona's boyfriend, shared the sinister enthusiasm. "Just imagine we could travel the world, enjoy life without worries with that money." His tone was one of anticipation, a complicity in the vision of a future built on the ruins of a legacy. Ramona, however, did not hide her true intentions. "Yes, but first I need to get rid of that depressive old man because he could mess everything up," she said, referring to her father with a coldness that made Anna's blood run cold. Fernando agreed, revealing the calculated nature of the plan. "Well, with that depression he really shouldn't last long, and we have to be very careful so he doesn't even dream that his company will be sold simply because you want to be free of this drag on your life." His speech was a nod to Ramona's Machiavellian strategy. She confirmed without a hint of remorse. "Anyway, now that he's in this state, I'm the one who takes care of everything. He doesn't know anything anymore and thinks I'll keep the company and take his so-called legacy seriously." Ramona's words revealed not just a betrayal of her father, but a willingness to dismantle his legacy out of greed. Anna, shocked by the conversation, quickly moved away from the door, the revelation of Ramona's conspiracy echoing in her mind. The coldness with which Ramona planned against her own father was a blow to the stomach, a glimpse into the moral abyss the daughter was willing to plunge into to achieve her selfish goals. This discovery put Anna in a delicate position. The dilemma between professional duty and morality weighed on her shoulders, an internal battle between loyalty to an employer devoid of compassion and justice for an elderly and depressed man. After witnessing the terrible conspiracy of Ramona and her boyfriend, Anna found herself in a state of constant vigilance. Every interaction between Ramona and Mr. Rodriguez, every movement within those corridors was now filtered through a new lens of suspicion and concern. Anna knew that the balance between her need to keep the job and the desire to protect the gentleman from further suffering was delicate, so she would remain an observer unless something more serious happened. During one of her routine rounds, Anna witnessed a confrontation that would leave a strong mark on her conscience. Ramona, whose patience seemed to have run out, was arguing with Mr. Rodriguez with unwarranted ferocity. Anna, hidden by the shadow of a slightly open door, watched, shocked by the intensity of the scene. "You can't even take care of your own life," Ramona vociferated, her words laden with disdain. "Accept the fact that you're going to be stuck in that wheelchair. From a man of respect, you've turned into just a pitiful figure." The cruelty in Ramona's words cut through the air like sharp blades. Mr. Rodriguez, despite his evident weakness, tried to defend himself with dignity. "I just wanted some updates about the company. I know I've been sad, and I'm ashamed to even leave my room now that I need help with everything, but I've always loved my company." His voice, though weak, carried the strength of an unwavering love for his legacy. "I trust you're taking care of the factory and doing a good job. I'm not questioning that. I just asked how things are going. There's no need to get upset." But Ramona showed no mercy. "Well, now you've got me upset. If you gave me the power over the factory because you've turned into a pitiful figure who can't do anything besides complain about life and feel sorry for yourself, there's nothing I can do. Just don't annoy me anymore with these questions and try to take care of your limited life." Anna, behind the door, felt a storm of emotions. The way Ramona spoke to her own father was unimaginable, a lack of respect and love that defied understanding. The urge to intervene, to defend Mr. Rodriguez, pulsed strongly within her, but the fear of losing the job that was now vital for her son's treatment kept her immobile, a prisoner of her own circumstances. One afternoon, when Ramona went out with her boyfriend Anna, driven by a compassion that surpassed the barriers of fear and uncertainty, decided she would visit Mr. Rodriguez in his room, even against Anna's orders, because she felt bad for the poor man's loneliness. With hesitant but determined steps, Anna gently knocked on the door. "Mr. Rodriguez, do you mind if I clean up in here a bit?" Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, fearing to invade the privacy of the man who until then had been kept at a distance by Ramona's orders. "Ramona said you didn't want anyone entering, but I thought a clean room might bring a bit more well-being." Mr. Rodriguez's response was immediately kind, revealing a loneliness compounded by the dirt accumulating around him. "No, I don't mind. Indeed, the room needs it. I never told Ramona I didn't want anyone entering. That must be her decision." His voice betrayed a deep sorrow, the sadness of a man who saw himself abandoned in the most vulnerable phase of his life. As Anna began cleaning, the conversation flowed naturally between them. With the care of someone treading on unknown ground, she asked about Mr. Rodriguez's seclusion. "What happened that now you only stay in your room? You can still do many things, even in a wheelchair." Mr. Rodriguez's words were an outpouring of a life filled with losses and disillusionments. "I've suffered many losses in life. I always managed to bounce back. But after the accident, losing the use of my legs, people, including my own daughter, stopped seeing me as the man I always was. That affected me a lot." The confession was a painful portrait of someone who felt reduced to their physical incapacity, shame replacing the pride that once dominated his being. Anna listened, each word from Mr. Rodriguez making her understand more deeply the extent of his loneliness. As she cleaned the floor, the dust and dirt giving way to a shine long forgotten, she reflected on his words. The sadness in his voice was not just for what he had lost physically, but also for the relationships that had crumbled under the weight of his new reality. Anna, handling the duster gently, turned to Mr. Rodriguez. "You know, Mr. Rodriguez, even with adversities, I always lean on faith. God never leaves us alone," she began, her voice a reflection of the strength she found in her belief. She continued as she went on with the cleaning. "My son Miguel has a rare immune disease. He frequently faces infections one after another, and there were times when I felt completely lost, not knowing what to do." She paused, a heavy sigh accompanying the memory of the incessant struggle. "But you see, I never stopped believing that we would find a way. I draw strength from what is important to me. Moreover, faith in God. It's the light at the end of the tunnel, the promise that someday we will find a definitive treatment for my son's chronic illness." Anna looked at Mr. Rodriguez, hoping her words could offer some hope. Mr. Rodriguez, listening attentively, saw in Anna a resilience that was familiar to him. "You are very brave, Anna. I see a lot of my younger self in you," he said, a sincere admiration in his voice. However, he confessed he felt his own time for struggle and strength had passed. "I think I no longer have the capacity for resilience. I've lost my strength to the shame of being in a wheelchair. Now the company is with Ramona, and maybe that's the right thing for her to live this legacy. I don't have much to fight for anymore." As Anna continued to clean, moving to a shelf full of old photographs that captured joyful moments of Mr. Rodriguez's life, the dust accumulating on the portraits was a symbol of the forgetfulness and loneliness now surrounding him. It was then that Anna came across something that made her heart stop, a gold-framed photograph that froze her in shock. It was a photo of herself, still a child in her mother's arms. Confusion and surprise flooded her mind, a storm of unanswered questions. What is this photo doing here, she wondered, unable to understand the connection between her family and Mr. Rodriguez. Before she could fully process the discovery or seek explanations, the sound of the gate opening announced Ramona's return. The fear of being caught in such a vulnerable moment propelled Anna to hastily leave the room without saying goodbye, leaving behind the photograph that challenged reality as she knew it. After the discovery of the photo, Anna was immersed in a whirlwind of confusion and anxiety. How is this possible? Why would Mr. Rodriguez have a photo of my childhood? She questioned herself while continuing with her daily tasks. She knew she needed answers, but Ramona's constant presence made any attempt at investigation a challenge. I need to find the right moment to talk to him without raising suspicions, she planned in her thoughts, the urgency to unravel the mystery growing with each passing moment. Trying to find some immediate explanation, Anna grabbed her phone during a break and tried to contact her mother, Esmeralda. Her heart raced as she dialed the number, but all she found was the voicemail. The lack of response only added another layer of mystery and frustration to the situation. My God, when I need my mum to answer her phone, could she explain this? The questions multiplied, but the answers seemed distant. Finally, at the end of the afternoon, an opportunity presented itself. Ramona had gone out again. Driven by a determination that overcame her apprehension, Anna headed to Mr. Rodriguez's room. The need to understand the connection between her childhood and the man before her was overwhelming. Mr. Rodriguez, Anna began, her voice trembling with emotion and uncertainty. I found a photo of me as a child in this room. How do you have a picture of me? Can you explain? The sincerity and confusion in her gaze were evident as she grabbed the photo from the shelf and showed it to him. Mr. Rodriguez's reaction was one of pure shock. Is your mother named Esmeralda? He asked, a mix of hope and disbelief painting his face. Upon confirmation, Anna saw a whirlwind of emotions cross the eyes of the man in front of her, a sea of past and present colliding in a single moment. Then, with a voice choked with emotion, Mr. Rodriguez revealed the unimaginable. Anna, I'm your father. The words, almost whispered, carried the weight of a lifetime of searches and longings. I don't know the probability, if it was God who sent you to this job, if nature worked in my favor. But I've been looking for Esmeralda and you all my life. I can't believe you're here. He spoke, already crying. Anna remained motionless, Mr. Rodriguez's words echoing in a void of disbelief and shock. How is this possible? How did you meet my mother? He began to tell the story, each word unraveling the fabric of a life that Anna could barely recognize. When I was 19, I met Esmeralda. We fell deeply in love, but my family, always concerned with status and money, did not accept our love when they discovered Esmeralda was pregnant. The sadness in his voice was palpable, the pain of a past marked by decisions that were not his own. They sent me to the United States to study, away from her. This photo was all that remained. I think she sent it to my parents' house, and I found it hidden one day. The only connection I had with you two after I was forced to leave. Anna listened, Mr. Rodriguez's words telling the narrative her mother had told her so many times. The story of the love that left her, of the absence of a father she never knew. My mother told me about the love of her life who left her. I never knew who my father was, she managed to say, the painful truth now taking on new dimensions. With eyes full of tears and a heart broken by guilt and lost time, Mr. Rodriguez asked for forgiveness. I had no choice, Anna. Please believe me. I hope Ramona accepts you. She needs a good influence. He asked for a hug from Anna, an act so simple and yet so loaded with meaning, uniting father and daughter in an emotional bond. They cried together, a cry of pain, relief and discovery. As the emotional tide began to recede, Anna knew it was time to reveal the plot that threatened to destroy what Mr. Rodriguez cared so much about. Well, about Ramona, there's something I need to tell you, she began, her initial hesitation giving way to firm determination. She told him about Ramona's plans to sell the company and abandon her father, a report that exposed the daughter's greed and disrespect. The revelation of Ramona's plans did not surprise Mr. Rodriguez, but the depth of her disrespect for him, treating him as an obstacle rather than a father, was a painful blow. The betrayal regarding the company I could to some extent predict, but the lack of humanity towards me, that was a shock, he confessed, a profound sadness marking his words. The situation was complicated, exacerbated by the fact that he had, in a moment of vulnerability, granted Ramona almost unrestricted powers over the company. However, amidst the desolation, a glimmer of hope emerged. Mr. Rodriguez, with the cunning of someone who had faced countless business battles, proposed a risky but potentially redeeming plan. I have a recorder. If we can capture Ramona discussing her plans, we'll have the necessary proof to act and take back the company, he explained, placing his trust and hope in Anna's hands. Anna, aware of the risks, did not hesitate to offer her help. I'll find the right moment and be as discreet as possible, she promised, determined to do whatever was necessary to protect the man she had just discovered was her father. Before Anna left the room, Mr. Rodriguez made one last confession, an addition laden with emotion to the whirlwind of revelations of the day. There's something more I need to say. I'm very happy to have found you, Anna. And if your mother, Esmeralda, is still willing to see me after all these years, tell her I never forgot her." The words were a testament to the unwavering love that had persisted through the decades. "I can't imagine how difficult it must have been for you, living all these years with this weight," Anna responded, her empathy for her father growing with each shared moment. "Yes, it was, but finding you now, Anna, and perhaps having the chance to see Esmeralda again, that gives me hope. My marriage to Ramona's mother was a failed one. Esmeralda has always been in my heart," Mr. Rodriguez shared, looking at Anna with a mix of joy and sadness. At an opportune moment of distraction, when Ramona left her room to accompany Fernando to the kitchen, Anna acted with a mix of determination and nervousness. She knew that this act could change the course of their lives. With trembling hands but guided by an unwavering will, she positioned the activated recorder carefully hidden in Ramona's room, hoping it would capture the truth behind her intentions. The next day, taking advantage of the sound of running water that announced Ramona in the shower and knowing Fernando was in the kitchen, Anna retrieved the recorder. Her heart raced, aware of the weight of that small device in her hands. She rushed to Mr. Ramirez's room, anxious and fearful of what they would find in the recordings. Together, father and daughter listened to the conversations captured by the recorder. The words of Ramona and Fernando shocked them, a dark confirmation of Mr. Ramirez's worst fears. My God, she wasn't just thinking about ending my company. She was planning to end my life with that boyfriend. The pain in Mr. Ramirez's voice was palpable, tears springing forth in the face of such close betrayal. "When life gives me back a daughter, I lose another," he lamented, the sadness of losing the daughter he raised now overshadowed by the darkness of her intentions. Anna, moved by an impulse of consolation and affection, hugged him, trying to offer some comfort amid the storm of emotions. Determined, Mr. Ramirez stated he could not allow the threat to his life to remain under his own roof, especially now that he had a new purpose in life, the reunion with Esmeralda. "I'll call my lawyers to get the police involved now," he said, his voice firm despite the circumstances. Following the guidance of his lawyers, who promptly contacted the police sending the recording as evidence, officers arrived at the residence. Anna opened the gate for the police to enter. Ramona and Fernando, surprised by the police presence, were informed of their arrest due to the conspiracy against Mr. Ramirez because of the compelling evidence that had been delivered. Faced with Anna firmly by Mr. Ramirez's side, Ramona could not contain her bitterness, hurling cutting words in the girl's direction. "So it was you, wasn't it? Who helped this pathetic old man? You limited poor thing. Do you really think you're going to achieve anything in life? You'll never be anything more than what you already are," she said, disdain dripping from each syllable uttered against Anna. But when Mr. Ramirez intervened, revealing the true relationship between him and Anna, Ramona was left speechless. "Don't talk to my daughter like that. Yes, she is my daughter, whom I've searched for all my life, and God brought her to me," he said, moving his wheelchair closer. The revelation of Anna as his daughter and the expression of disdain he had for Ramona and her behavior marked the end of an era of manipulation and betrayal. "I hope you rot in jail with your gold-digging boyfriend and never see my money again," Mr. Ramirez concluded, sealing Ramona's fate with words that carried the force of a lifetime of struggles, and now, finally, justice. After the release from the weight and danger that Ramona and Fernando represented, Mr. Ramirez, now relieved and carrying the sweetness of reuniting with his daughter, made a special request to Anna. He wished to organize a dinner at his home, an invitation extended not just to Esmeralda but also to little Miguel, his grandson. Anna, moved by the gesture, shared that she had previously talked with her mother about the past. "I think my mum would accept the invitation. I talked to her, and yes, she was very sad when you disappeared. But I also realized that young love is still alive inside her." The night of the dinner arrived, laden with expectation and promises of a new beginning. Anna, Esmeralda, and Miguel were greeted by a chef hired exclusively for the occasion. Mr. Ramirez, holding a bouquet of flowers, waited anxiously by the door, each heartbeat echoing the lost time and renewed hope. The exchange of glances between Esmeralda and Mr. Ramirez was a silent link, crossing decades of separation, a mute dialogue of hearts that never stopped beating for each other. The tears framing Mr. Ramirez's eyes were witnesses to the depth of his feelings. Esmeralda, no words could describe how much I've dreamed of this moment. I ask for 1,000 pardons. I was forced to leave the country, but I never stopped fighting, loving you. I searched for you tirelessly, he confessed, his voice choked with emotion. Esmeralda, now flooded by her own tears, found in understanding a bridge to forgiveness. I also never forgot you, and despite the pain I felt, now I understand. With hesitant but certain steps, she moved towards a reunion that sealed the past and opened the doors to the future, culminating in a kiss that was both a goodbye to sorrows and a hello to new beginnings. Anna watched the scene, her eyes misty with the joy of seeing her family rebuild before her eyes. By her side, Miguel smiled, happy to see his grandmother so moved. In the months following the emotional reunion, the lives of Anna, Miguel, Mr. Ramirez, and Esmeralda transformed into a tale of rediscoveries and happiness. The old love between Esmeralda and Mr. Ramirez blossomed with new intensity, culminating in the decision to unite in marriage, a celebration that symbolized not just the union of two souls, but also the healing of old wounds. In a gesture of affection and unity, Mr. Ramirez, now married to Esmeralda, extended a special invitation to Anna and Miguel to move into his home, offering them not just a home filled with love, but also comfort and security. This generous gesture marked the beginning of a new phase in Anna's life, where adversity gave way to hope and shared happiness. It was during a peaceful afternoon at their home that Mr. Ramirez shared with Anna news that would change their lives forever. Anna, I have something incredible to tell you. I reached out to everyone I knew in healthcare, scientific research, and medicine, and through a friend I met an immunologist who has developed an innovative treatment specifically for Miguel's disease. And I took the liberty of enrolling him and paying for the treatment so he can be one of the first to receive it. The emotion in Mr. Ramirez's voice was palpable, each word loaded with hope. Anna, overwhelmed by a mix of surprise and disbelief, couldn't hold back her tears. I can't believe it. This is everything I've ever prayed to God for, she said between sobs, that my son can have a normal life, go to school, play with other children without the constant risk of getting sick. I've always been so scared for him, and now... Her words were lost in tears of gratitude and relief. With a tight hug, Anna expressed her gratitude to Mr. Ramirez, who kindly returned it. You don't need to thank me. I already love Miguel as my grandson. I want the best for him, he said, an affectionate smile framing his words. And besides, I owe you a debt forever, Anna. You saved my life. Without your courage, I would be lost. I don't know what would become of me. Then Mr. Ramirez revealed one more surprise, a proposal that represented both a vote of confidence and an opportunity for growth for Anna. You know, I've been thinking, I've heard about your management experience, and now I wish to enjoy life a bit more with Esmeralda. I'd like to invite you to be the general manager of the car factory. The pride and admiration in his voice were evident. I can't think of anyone better to entrust my legacy to. I'm sure you'll do an incredible job. Anna, moved and honored, accepted the proposal with her heart overflowing with gratitude. I'll do my best to honor and maintain your legacy, I promise, she affirmed, recognizing the weight and importance of the trust placed in her. Thank you for everything, for believing in me, for welcoming us, and for giving us a new chance at life. From that moment on, the life of this newly formed family was marked by serene happiness, a shared existence of love, support, and new opportunities. Their union, strengthened by the challenges they overcame and the joys found along the way, became a living testament to the power of resilience, love, and faith in rebuilding lives and creating a promising future. Together they experienced the true essence of happiness, united by the past, present, and hopes for an even brighter tomorrow. If you've enjoyed this story, I invite you to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Your support inspires us to keep publishing fascinating stories nearly every day. Stay tuned so you don't miss the next amazing story that's on the way. We greatly value your support. See you soon.